Picture this. It's 1999. In the heart of Brazil, what should have been a normal fig harvest is turning into a total nightmare for farmers.
And within just a few months, boom, this is how much they lost. 50%. Half of the entire fig crop in the state of São Paulo, just gone. So, who was the culprit? A tiny invader that nobody there had ever seen before. Zaprionus indianus, or as it's better known, the African fig fly. Okay, this is where our detective story really kicks off. The big question, the one that everyone was asking, is how on earth did an insect from clear across the ocean manage to cross the Atlantic and then just take over almost all of Brazil in record time? To crack this case, we've got to put on our genetic detective hats. We're going to follow the clues hidden deep inside the fly's own DNA to figure out where it came from and how it spread. So the first big question for the research team was, where did this thing even come from? See, this species lives in both Africa and Asia. So which continent was ground zero for the Brazilian invasion?
And how they figured this out is actually really cool. Scientists used a specific tool, these enzymes called esterases. You can think of them like a unique genetic fingerprint, a kind of biological signature that can trace a population right back to its roots.
And this right here, this was the smoking gun. They zeroed in on one specific genetic marker, the EST34 allele. Now look at this chart. It is completely missing from the Asian fly populations, but it's there in the African flies, and get this, it's at an even higher frequency in the Brazilian ones. The evidence was undeniable. The invaders came from Africa.
So, how did they make the trip? The first thought might be, they hitched a ride on a plane, right? But the genetics told a different story. The data suggested the founding group was huge, way too big for a passenger flight. No, the most likely scenario is that they arrived by sea, hiding out in huge cargo shipments of fruit docking at the massive port of Santos.
All right, so we've got our point of entry, but that's just part one of the mystery. Now we've got to figure out the getaway. How did this fly spread so incredibly fast across a country the size of a continent? I mean, just look at this timeline. It is absolutely wild. They show up in São Paulo in 1999. By the very next year, they're already all over the South and Central West. And by 2001, they've made it all the way to the Northeast. We're talking thousands of kilometers in just a couple of years.
And here's the kicker. This was not some slow, natural migration. No way. These flies did not do this on their own wings. Researchers call it an expansion by jumps. And they did it by using our own infrastructure against us. And this map right here, it lays it all out. They basically hijacked Brazil's fruit trade. The flies hitched rides on trucks, zipping along the country's main highway systems. Those roads became superhighways for the invasion, spreading fastest wherever truck traffic was the heaviest.
So cracking the case of the past is one thing. But what about right now? How do you fight back against an invader this good? Well, that brings us to the modern science of surveillance and how to build the perfect trap.
So if you want to trap this little guy, forget what you think you know. Forget the vinegar, forget the alcohol. The science is in, and the secret weapon is bananas. Mashed bananas mixed with yeast is just way more effective. They just can't resist it. And get this, the recipe scientists came up with is super simple and cheap, so anyone can do it. It's just 100 grams of mashed banana, 5 grams of baker's yeast, and a little bit of food coloring. That's it. But wait, it gets even more interesting. It's not just about the smell. The color of the trap matters a lot. The research clearly showed that traps colored purple or yellow caught way more flies than plain, colorless ones. You gotta attract them with both scent and sight.
And maybe the most critical factor of all, timing. A whopping 97.4%. That's nearly all of them are captured during the rainy season. That's when food is everywhere, the population just explodes, and it's the absolute best time for monitoring.
All right, so let's take a step back and put this whole incredible story in perspective. We've traced its origins, we've followed its path. What's the final verdict here?
Well, for scientists, this total disaster for farmers actually created this incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It became a massive, real-time natural experiment, a chance to watch evolution and genetics play out right before their eyes. But really, what's the big takeaway here? The story of this one little fly is just this perfect, powerful example of how our interconnected world and global trade can completely reshape a country's ecosystem in just a handful of years. The story of the African fig fly is a pretty stark reminder of just how connected our world is. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other silent invasions might be happening right now, just under our noses? Let us know in the comments what invasive species you'd like us to look into next.